Hello, welcome to another episode here on my channel. My name is ChaosMole and today we have a preview of the new world which is coming out in about a month, and what you see here is the closed beta. And yes, I have played the playtest a year ago, and in the background I'm just farming some items, killing some enemies, nothing in particular you have to watch, and so it is more important to what I have to say about the game instead of what I have to show to you. And we have 5 categories we have to talk about: technology, PvE, crafting, PvP, and balance. So let's jump right into technology. When I played the playtest last year, this game was nearly unplayable for me. The FPS was shit. It didn't feel great. I had micro stutters. I had crashes. It was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster. And now in the closed beta, I can say I didn't really have the problem. Yes, sure, the FPS is sometimes going down to like 30 FPS in cities when there are a lot of players, but it's an MMO, that's to be expected. I don't mind. And outside of cities and even in the PvP, it mostly stays at 60 FPS at 4040p and ultra settings. So they made some tremendous strides when it comes to where the technology of this game was a year before. And I'm really happy about that. Now, unfortunately, the start of the beta wasn't too great. They had a lot of server issues, server crashes, they had multiple downtimes, and I will be honest, I was thoroughly disappointed because we are talking about Amazon here. Amazon is the biggest server operator and cloud operator in the world, and you know what, I would have expected a little bit more. Now you might say, well, it's just beta, and yes, the problems did subside, but I don't really know if it really was the doing of the developers or if people just, did other things. Like they checked out the game for a weekend and now they were like, okay, I've seen the game, I've made my decision if I want to buy this or not, and they moved on. Like, I cannot tell you that. And so I'm just planning, or well, I don't really plan at all for the release because I expect that the release will be another MMO release shit show. Am I surprised? No. I had 20 MMO releases in the last decades and they were all not great. So do I expect anything else? Not really. But as I said, from somebody who is owned by Amazon, I would have expected a little bit more. And we will see how it goes. Let's talk about bugs. So thankfully, I'm lucky. I don't really have a lot of bugs. I had basically one glitch where I was teleported into an invasion and I couldn't get out of it. Like, even with despawn and all that, I had to wait till somebody basically did the invasion event I was caught in, and then I could move again. But a lot of people aren't that lucky. I played with a friend of mine and he was this close to not only throw the game out of the window, but also his whole PC with it. He had tons of bugs. One of the most critical ones was the main quest right at the beginning, where he had to go to the marketplace and to the storage place, and the marketplace worked without any issues, but when he clicked on the storage space, the storage was like, yeah, you haven't clicked on me yet. He was like, no, I even put items into you. Like, I definitely clicked on you. And the quest was like, no, you didn't. You never clicked on me. So he abandoned the quest, he resetted the quest. Nothing helped. He tried a lot of things till he was so desperate. Then he started to click on the storage space from different angles. And at some point, the game was like, all right, cool. You clicked on the storage space. Go on. It took him like 20 minutes or so. It was horrible. And that was, of course, not the only problem. But it seems like bugs are still a big problem in this game. And will they iron them out till the release? I don't think so. I hope so, but I don't think so. Like, in general, I have to say, yes, they definitely polished the game from the playtest to the closed beta. But even then, for a year of development, I expected a little bit more, to be completely honest here. But let's talk about PvE. Oh boy. PvE, I think, is the most boring and aggravating thing I've ever seen in an MMO. Like, it literally feels like this game was not meant for PvE. They wanted to do crafting, they wanted to do PvP, but then people were like, a little bit of PvE wouldn't be bad, and they were like, alright, let's tack it on. It feels like tacked on, like a last minute decision they made, and it's just boring. It is absolutely boring and not even efficient. If you want to level the quickest way in this game, you do crafting. You do not do quests. Quests are not interesting. The story is, well, probably interesting. I don't know, because I just clicked over it because it wasn't really presented in an interesting way. Like, I'm 100% certain, because of the world I'm moving in, that there's a very interesting story going on here with the new world. But unfortunately, the game is doing such a horrible job to present it. And I have given up caring for the quest at all after like an hour in the game at best. So I'm sorry, like, questing in this game is not interesting and it's not efficient. It is not efficient at all. You make only a few XP by doing the quests. The items you are getting, especially at the beginning, are completely underleveled, and you should move on at this point. And if you want to level quick, you do crafting. Like, in crafting, you can make a level or two in 30 minutes through the crafting quests. When you do normal PvE quests, you probably make 15% of your level in 30 minutes. And I don't over exaggerate here. Why? Because the game doesn't respect your time. And we will come to talk to this more often through the video. But most of the time, the game is sending you to point A, then you have to kill things, then you have to run to point B, and then you have to go back to the city. And that whole affair took you 30 to 40 minutes, well, let's say more like 30 minutes. And as I said, you are only getting like 10 to 15% of your XP here. It is absolutely not worth it. And this game loves to send you around in the world where you have to ask the question, where are my mounts? Why do I not have mounts? Yes, there's a fast travel system in the game, thankfully so, but mounts. Give me mounts. Even if you're using the fast travel system, I want to move faster through the world. It is far too slow. There is nothing really going on sometimes, and it isn't really great. Like, give me mounts, please. But back to the PvE, the dungeons, I've only done the first dungeon in the game. It's kind of fun. It's really just spamming your abilities and, well, evade one or two, like, deadly attacks, and that's about it. It's the starter dungeons, I assume. I've watched some other streamers who are already knee-deep into the dungeon, and it seems like even the endgame dungeon doesn't really change that much, which is a bit unfortunate. But PvE-wise, I really have to say, this game could be cool, but PvE needs another year of work, probably. Like, even with the invasion, I was first thinking that we are getting like some Rift type of invasion, if you have ever played the MMO Rift. And I was actually looking forward to it because Rift has a special place in my heart. But nothing. The invasions are also most of the time bugged, they reset quite a bit, and I think there are 3 different invasion types, and it's not really that interesting. I was like, okay, and this is a major part of the game, huh? Alright, doesn't seem to be too interesting. Well, and that's the feeling I have with PvE right now. It's tacked on. It needs much more time, and it needs much more love. But let's talk about the things they really cared for. Let's talk about crafting. Man, crafting in this game is fun. I love it. The farming is okay, but the crafting itself, it's super in-depth. Like, all the things you can craft, you have to look out for the extra materials you need. And you always feel like when you craft something, it doesn't just give you tons of XP. Like, as I said, through crafting quests, you can level like 1 to 2 levels in 30 minutes. It's obscene how much you can do through crafting. Like, I can already tell you on release day, we will have some level 60 players because they do nothing else but crafting and farming, and they will level up super fast. So crafting definitely is worth it, but not just for XP. The items themselves you are crafting feel worth it. They feel like, wow, look at this item, what I just crafted. This is one of the best items I can get for the class I'm playing. Or the playstyle, not the class really, the playstyle, you know what I mean. And it's like, yeah, this was absolutely worth it. This is amazing. And you have that feeling with a lot of the crafting in game, like even the cooking, which is normally in a lot of MMOs just like a side thing. Like cooking in this game is absolutely worth it. And it makes me happy. I wanted to play like a crafting MMO for a long time again, and the new world is delivering on it. But you already sense it. There's a but coming. Yeah, there's one particular but, and they have to fix it. It is fixable. They can change it. But we have to talk about additional resources. So when you're reaching tier 2 in crafting, let's just use the smelting here, right? You are starting with iron, and then the next tier is steel. And you need a specific resource to craft steel, and that is sand flux. Sand flux is needed for every steel bar you create. Where do you get sand flux? Well, here's the kicker. You will only find sand flux, and funny enough, you just see me doing it in the video right now. You only find sand flux in some of those crates, not provision crates, but I think it's like resource crates or something like that. And if you are lucky. So it's not a guaranteed thing. It's more like every 100 bogs, you find in total maybe 2 or 3 sand flux. Because it's not just you, the smelter, who needs like different additional resources to craft something. It is every job in the game. It doesn't matter which job you are playing, you need a specific resource. So the chance of you getting sand flux out of those supply cages is very slim. And if you really want to get screwed over by the game, you play the cook. Why? Because the cook needs, if you want to make a steak, right? You want to craft a steak, you need venison for that. Okay, that makes sense. You kill a deer, you get the venison, and you are good. And now the game is like, okay, but you also need 4 additional ingredients. And all those 4 additional ingredients can only be found in crates. And there are 40 different of them. And they do not exaggerate. They're like 40 different ingredients the cook can get. It's like, why are you doing this? This is the most boring and annoying thing I have ever done in an MMO. Because it's pure coincidence. You can farm for hours and barely get any of the resources you want, or you are lucky and you're getting a shit ton of it. It's like, why? Who came up with this? Because you can farm everything else. Everything else in the game is farmable. Why not those resources? Why did you decide that those resources are completely random and arbitrary? It makes no sense, and they have to change that. It slows you down so much that I sometimes really lost just the interest in crafting. Because I had to find one of the extra resources. And if I didn't find that, even for hours of farming, then it isn't really fun. So change it. Add something which makes this farmable. And no, I don't mean you can basically like swap those additional resources, like you can transform them into something you need. It's too expensive. It's an emergency solution. I mean something really farmable. Please. Now let's talk about the PvP. The PvP in the game is fun. I actually had a lot of fun in the PvP when I didn't have to get up against high level players. If the players were around my level, it was really fun. You don't die quickly, which is really cool. Like you really have the feeling like you have like a long fight ahead of you, and it feels cool. I like the PvP, and there's a lot which can happen, and I'm looking forward to it. But there are two things I do not understand, and they have to change. First things first, why is most of the cool PvP stuff in an instanced area? Like, you want to do the sieges? Well, you have to go into an instance before you killed some enemies outside, of course. Or you want to do the battlegrounds? Well, first you have to reach level 60 and then you're going into instance battlegrounds. Why is there nothing on the map? Why are there not territories you have to hold, you have to capture, you have to siege, like something you have to do? Like, let me give you an actually example here. Let's say there's a PvP area where you have to mine iron for your faction. Then you have to put the iron on the iron carts, and people have to protect the carts, moving them back to your city. And in the meantime, you are attackable by other factions. It's a pretty simple thing, and it would actually add a lot to the game and things which are happening outside of an instance. But for whatever reason, the only thing you can really do on the world map is kill each other without real reason. Like, it's really just, oh, enemy faction, alright, let's kill them. Which, don't get me wrong, again, it's fun, but give me something to fight over. Let me do something valuable for my faction, and not just running around and killing people. So that's something I do not understand. Speaking of doing something in PvP, let's talk about the PvP quests / faction quests. You will get faction quests. 3 of them are doable just in PvE, and the other 3 of them are doable in PvP, even though they are PvE quests. I know it sounds a little bit weird, but think about it this way. You have to activate PvP to do those 3 PvE quests. That's the plan. And those PvP quests give you just more of the resources you need for your faction, like about double the amount. But the thing is, if you die by doing those quests are gone. You get nothing. 0. Zilch. Like, absolutely nothing. I was like, why? Why are you punishing me here? Like, the PvP quests are already relatively hard because you have to do PvP, and when you die you have to run back, and it's already like kind of punishing. But why do you make it so that I literally lose everything and maybe have just wasted 30 minutes of my playtime? Like, as I said before, this game likes to waste your playtime, and I don't know why. It's 0 fun, and in this case I would just do the PvE quest, because even if they are just giving 50%, well, those 50% are guaranteed, and I don't have to fear to get killed in PvP. What they should do, again, it's fixable. What they should do is, when you die in PvP, and you have basically finished the quest, but you haven't turned it in yet, and you die, yes, you lose the quest, but you are getting 50% of the resources. And with that, I would do those quests in a heartbeat, because in the end, I would still get something out of it. And that would be cool for PvP players, because more people would then do PvP if they didn't have to fear that they are losing everything. I was like, why haven't you thought about that? Like, why do you have to do it in the all or nothing idea? Like, it's so unfortunate. Like, again, they can fix it, and they definitely have to put more PvP on the world map. Now, let's talk about balance. This game is a mess, balance-wise. And I'm literally talking about everything. Like, we have already talked about PvP, we have already talked about crafting. PvE is the same thing. Like, all the weapons in the game, there are some weapons which are absolutely OP, and there are some other weapons where you're just thinking, huh? What is your purpose? Like, what are you doing here right now? Like, I'm using the rapier, And the rapier is a wonderful example of that, where I just think to myself, okay, what is it exactly you are doing? Like, you are not doing extremely more damage. Yes, you have some movability, but I've tried that in PvE and PvP. In PvE, the mobs are just locking on to you, and they don't really care for your movability. And in PvP, well, most players are A, smart enough to follow you around, or B, have AoE attacks who don't even care if you move around or not. And like, the rapier feels super weak, the bow feels a little bit weak in comparison. The life staff, which is the healer stuff, feels very strong played right. Like, there are a lot of items I could go on and go on here, which feel just so overpowered, and others feel just so weak in comparison. And the game is coming out in a month, and let's be honest here, that will probably not change too much. But balance-wise, man, this game, it needs some love. There are moments where you are just wondering, like, how is this balanced? Like with crafting, right? We already talked about this. Like, there are some crafting jobs which take much more work and resources than others. Like, I'm playing the Juveler. Man, words today. Let's try this again. The Goldsmith. I think that's the better term for it. And I need so many resources. I need so much. A friend of mine is a weaponsmith, and he is like, all right, I need iron, I need wood, and maybe I need a little bit of leather, and that's it. And for me, it's like, okay, I need silver, I need mods, I need wood, I need iron, I need some gold. And it's like, whoa, okay. Like, balance. They have to work on that. But let's wrap it up here, shall we? So, what is my end thoughts? Well, basically what is said right from the beginning. It's a crafting-based game which focuses on PvP later on, with a tacked-on PvE part which needs a lot of love when it comes to balance. And the game is fun, but it's not ready yet. It's as simple as that. It needs more time. It will not get more time. So for now, I would say definitely wait for the reviews on release, and wait for the people who have really checked out the end game, because what we hear from the beta, that also needs a lot of more love and content. So yeah, as much as this pains me to say, but wait on this game. Like, maybe in a few months this game will have all the things it needs to succeed, but right now it is very much in the beta status. They put it in a month before release. That was it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and you're on your way out, I would appreciate if you might consider to click on the like button. If you didn't like this video for whatever reason, well, the dislike button is right next to it. And if you're new to the channel, you want to see more previews, reaction videos, gaming news, and everything really gaming related, you came to the right channel, and I would appreciate if you might consider to subscribe to this channel, because it would help me out a lot. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Stay safe. Bye bye.